On the news, Tinubu to make first official trip overseas as Nigeria's president heads to France for Global Financial Pact Summit. Bill Gates, Dangote hailed Tinubu on fuel subsidy removal after meeting at Aso Rock. And presidential election results refused to upload, INEC officers tell tribunal. Hello and welcome to News Now on TV 360 Nigeria. I am Simisola Adigun. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is set to make his first official trip overseas since his inauguration as Nigeria's president on May 29, 2023. According to his special advisor on special duties, communication and strategy, Dele Alake, Tinubu will join world leaders in Paris, France for Global Financial Pact Summit that places vulnerable countries on a priority list for support and investment. This follows the devastating impact of climate change, energy crisis, and after effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. The president will participate in the two-day summit from June 22nd to 23rd that will explore opportunities to restore fiscal space to countries that face difficult short-term financial challenges. And co-chairman of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Bill Gates, and Nigerian business tycoon Aliko Dangote have congratulated President Bola Tinubu on the removal of fuel subsidy and other recent strides achieved by the new administration. Dangote made this known in a chat with State House correspondents after the duo met with the president in his office on Monday. According to the businessman, the expectation is that the removal of fuel subsidy will open up better financial capabilities for the country to invest in other areas such as education as well as advanced development among the citizenry. The business tycoon further explained that the courtesy visit was congratulatory and an opportunity to brief the president on the activities of the Bill Gates and Aliko Dangote foundations.
We came in for myself and my friend Bill Gates to congratulate him once more for his successful election into this office, and also to brief him of what Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Aliko Dangote Foundation we've been doing in Nigeria, and also committing to do more and to help Nigeria so that our health sector will keep improving, which will turn out to be better for the whole citizens of the country.
So specifically, what should Nigerians been expecting from these two great foundations?
Well, Nigerians have been getting quite a lot. All what they have to start expecting is to expect more. All is great. Things are, going well. We even congratulated him on the removal of subsidy, and I think he's doing a great job. Well, I expect that it's going to be better for everybody. There will be more money now to put into education, into health, infrastructure, and other areas. And our own side is to help support him to make sure that he achieves his own vision and his goals.
3 ad hoc staff of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), who were presiding officers for the February 25 general election, have told the Presidential Election Petition Court that only the results of the presidential election refused to upload to IREV. The 3 presiding officers were subpoenaed by Abubakar Atiku and the People's Democratic Party (PDP). Led in evidence by the petitioner's counsel, Eyitayo Jagade, the witnesses told the court that they were able to use the bimodal voter accreditation system (BVAS) machine to transmit results for the senatorial and House of Representatives elections successfully. They, however, told the court in their separate testimonies that they were unable to use the BVAS to transmit the presidential election results, thereby making them unsatisfied with the entire election process. Nigerian ambassador to Switzerland, Abiodun Richards Adejola, has been elected chairman of the International Labour Organization (ILO) governing body. He was elected at the GB meeting in Geneva, Switzerland, after the International Labour Conference attended by representatives of government, employers, labor leaders and civil society organizations across the world, including Nigeria. In his acceptance speech, Adejola expressed his delight and honor to assume the leadership on behalf of the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as the next chairperson of the ILO governing body for the 2023-2024 session.
Delighted and honored to assume the leadership on behalf of the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as the next chairperson of the ILO governing body for the 2023-2024 session. We appreciate the thoughtfulness in nominating and confirming Nigeria. Our agenda in future meetings should take on broad challenges such as this to confront and shape global discourse as a matter of urgency. Our policy outcomes and decisions should inspire hope for a better quality of life and new opportunities. We are ready to deliver on the mandate entrusted to us, prepared to serve.
There was absolute great endorsement of the Global Coalition for Social Justice, which is an important initiative of the Director General, Mr. Gilbert Ombo. And the essence of the Global Commission on Social Justice is to make sure that issues related to social development, social justice, are at the same level or receive the same level of attention as economic issues and environmental issues.
The commandant of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, in Kebbi State, Suleiman Usman, has called for more effective collaboration among the Nigeria security agencies to combat the menace of drug peddling and abuse that is gradually becoming a major security concern, especially in the northwest geopolitical region. He made this known after receiving large caches of drugs intercepted by men of the Kebbi Area Command of the Nigeria Customs at the command headquarters in Burning Kebbi. Usman said the porous nature of the nation's land borders is making the fight against drug peddling and other criminal activities difficult.
In Kebbi State, we are bordering two nations, one of which is designated as a drop hub in West Africa. That makes Kebbi State highly vulnerable to drug abuse, coupled with the porous nature of our borders. And that is why we always call on our sister agencies to assist us, because we don't have the requisite resources and manpower to man all the entry points, and as well as carry out necessary activities in terms of sensitization, arrest and seizure of drug dealers.
To assist other sister agencies in making sure there is security. For example, weapons, sophisticated weapons, also have the right to seize weapons and hand over to police. We also have the right to seize drugs and hand it over to the NDLA. And that is exactly what we have done. And that's the whole focus of this press conference. As you all know, security, even before the emergence of this terrorism, had been a problem in Nigeria.
The Federal Ministry of Women Affairs, in collaboration with the Save the Children International SCI, has called for law formulation and implementation to tackle the violations of children's rights in the digital environment. The Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Women Affairs, Monilola Udo, made the call on Friday in commemoration of the 2023 Day of the African Child with the theme, The Rights of the Child in the Digital Environment. The Permanent Secretary, while lamenting about the vices on the Internet and its negative impact on children, emphasized the need for the development of preventive mechanisms to regulate and protect the child's right online.
NCC have a lot to do in educating the parents, mothers especially, how they can do parental control in most of those things. And also the content that's available on our TV stations. DSTV and all of that. They have a lot of adult content that are not suitable for our children. But I think government has a lot to do in terms of policy, in terms of infrastructure, NCC. We need to get our ISPs, all right, properly upgraded and connected.
Quality and access to education and safety of learning remains to be a challenge, even after nearly 50 years of the Soweto uprising. Children are still demanding their rights to be fully protected, to be fully respected and fulfilled. It is not debatable that digital technologies play a critical role in boosting the quality and access to education, like my friend has earlier discussed. However, children should also be safe while learning online. Therefore, on behalf of Save the Children International Nigeria, I would like to take this opportunity to call for the safe and accessible digital environment for children to learn and grow safely and healthy.
We'll take a break here, but still to come, United States and China pledged to stabilize tense relationship after talks. We'll bring you details of the story and more right after this break. Welcome back. Now here's a recap of some of our top stories tonight. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is set to make his first official trip overseas since his inauguration as Nigeria's president on May the 29th, 2023. According to his special advisor on special duties, communication and strategy, Dele Alake, Tinubu will join world leaders in Paris, France for Global Financial Pact Summit that places vulnerable countries on a priority list for support and investment. We also told you that the co-chair of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Bill Gates, and Nigerian business tycoon Aliko Dangote have congratulated President Bola Tinubu on the removal of fuel subsidy and other recent strides achieved by the new administration. According to Dangote, the expectation is that the removal of fuel subsidy will open up better financial capabilities for the country to invest in other areas such as education as well as advanced development among the citizenry. Now, in case you missed any of our news bulletins, for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. Lawmakers in the United Kingdom are set to punish former Prime Minister Boris Johnson after he was found to have deliberately misled Parliament by throwing rule-breaking parties at the heart of government during the coronavirus lockdowns. On Monday evening, members of Parliament will decide whether to support a report from the Parliamentary Privileges Committee released last week. As Johnson celebrates his 59th birthday on Monday, he is reminded of the accusations he faces for holding a birthday bash and other events at the height of the pandemic in 2020 and 2021, when the rest of the British population was subject to stringent lockdown measures. He resigned as Member of Parliament last month over the inquiry, which he called a protracted political assassination. 4 people were hit the hardest by COVID-19, with those living in the north of England hit hardest of all because of government cuts to health services in the years leading up to the pandemic, experts have said. Professors in the UK, while giving evidence to the independent COVID inquiry, say the country entered the pandemic with its public services depleted, health improvement stalled, health inequalities increased, and health among the poorest people in a state of decline. According to the experts, until 2010, life expectancy in the UK had been increasing at about 1 year every 4 years. This trend had continued for all of the 20th century until a break in the curve in 2010, the year of the pandemic. We'll go on another break and we'll return with the rest of the news. To stay with us. Welcome back. Mary Kano is on standby with business news. Over to you, Mary.
Thank you, Simisola. Welcome to Business News. The Central Bank of Nigeria has lifted the restrictions placed on domiciliary accounts. In a statement by the CBN, the new regulation will allow account holders to deposit freely, have unrestricted access to funds in accounts, and make up to $10,000 withdrawals daily. According to the CBN, the policy changes aims to promote transparency, liquidity, and price discovery in the FX market in order to improve FX supply, discourage speculation, and ensure overall stability in the FX market. Reacting to the development, economic expert Segun Sokwito, in an earlier interview with TV360 Nigeria, lauded the Apex Bank for the move. He, however, cautioned that improving Nigeria's economy goes beyond mere policies.
In a series of reforms that need to happen in the forex markets for the government to achieve what I presume to be the objectives are, which primarily will be unification of the exchange rates and the convergence between the official rates and the parallel market rates to reduce the divergence between those two rates to as minimal as possible, if any at all. Any economy that would operate efficiently, that will be able to deliver efficient conversion of resources, from capital all the way down to productive use of that capital to generate growth and development. One of the critical requirements is an efficient exchange rate management system. So if that is going to happen, then this step that the central bank has taken is a very important first step, but there's much more for them to do.
Well, we'll take a break here and return with stock market reports. To stay with us. And Nigeria's equities market opened this week in the green zone, rising slightly by 0.03% as investors continue to mull over the latest inflation data from the National Bureau of Statistics. We see the all-share index tilt towards the 60,000 level as it increased to 59,014 basis points, while market capitalization rose by 8 billion naira. Now, the gains are thanks to rise in share prices of stocks like Tantalizers and Universal Insurance. Now, market breadth also closed positive, with 44 equities appreciating in price, while 23 equities recorded losses. Now, at the close of trading, improvements were recorded in volume and value, while deals declined by 2%. Now, away from the NGX, let's see how some select global stocks are faring. Now, it's bearish trading in the US and Asia as investors record losses, weighed down by mining stocks as metal prices fell. Meanwhile, in the US, stock markets are closed for the Juneteenth holiday. Now, that's the stock market report. Simisola, back to you.
Thank you very much, Mary, for the update. And on the global scene, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's landmark trip to China has ended on Monday with a commitment from both countries to try to stabilize ties to prevent their intensifying rivalry from descending into conflict. The closely watched two-day visit wrapped up with a meeting between Blinken and Chinese President Xi Jinping, who told the visiting diplomat that the world needed a stable U.S.-China relationship and that the two countries should handle ties with a sense of responsibility.
I stress that direct engagement and sustained communication at senior levels is the best way to responsibly manage our differences and ensure that competition does not veer into conflict. And I heard the same from my Chinese counterparts. We both agree on the need to stabilize our relationship. We are clear-eyed about the challenges posed by the PRC. The United States will advance a vision for the future that we share with so many others, a free, open, stable, and prosperous world, with countries upholding and updating the rules-based order that has, for years, safeguarded peace and security globally. Here in Beijing, I had an important conversation with President Xi Jinping, and I had candid, substantive, and constructive discussions with my counterparts, Director Wang Yi and State Councilor Qin Gang. I appreciate the hospitality extended by our hosts. I reiterated that we would welcome China playing a constructive role, along with other nations, to work toward a just peace based on the principles of the United Nations Charter. I raised U.S. concerns, shared by a growing number of countries, about the PRC's provocative actions in the Taiwan Strait, as well as in the South and East China Seas. On Taiwan, I reiterated the long-standing U.S. One China policy. That policy has not changed. During my meeting today with U.S. business leaders who are operating in China, I heard about the problems that U.S. businesses are facing, including recent punitive actions against American firms. We are for de-risking and diversifying. That means investing in our own capacities and in secure, resilient supply chains, pushing for level playing fields for our workers and our companies, defending against harmful trade practices, and protecting our critical technologies so that they aren't used against us.
The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has lauded refugees around the world for their resilience and dedication. Speaking on this year's World Refugee Day with the theme, Hope Away from Home, a world where refugees are always included, the UN boss explained that urgent support is needed for refugees to reunite with their families. Guterres also disclosed that more than 100 million people living in countries rocked by conflict, persecution, hunger and climate chaos have been forced to flee their homes.
During my decade as UN High Commissioner for Refugees, I witnessed the resilience and contributions of refugees across all walks of life. Their perseverance in the face of adversity inspires me every day. Refugees represent the very best of the human spirit. They need and deserve support and solidarity, not closed borders and pushbacks. As we mark World Refugee Day, we confront a startling statistic. More than 100 million people living in countries rocked by conflict, persecution, anger and climate chaos have been forced to flee their homes. These are not numbers on a page. These are individual women, children and men making difficult journeys, often facing violence, exploitation, discrimination and abuse. This day reminds us of our duty to protect and support refugees and our obligation to open more avenues of support. These include solutions to resettle refugees and to help them rebuild their lives in dignity. We need greater international support for host countries, as called by the Global Compact for Refugees, to boost access to quality education, decent work, health care, housing and social protection. And we need much stronger political will to make peace so refugees can return safely to their homes. This year's theme is Hope Away from Home. I call on the world to harness the hope that refugees carry in their hearts. Let's match their courage with the opportunities they need every step of the way.
And in sports, Super Eagles head coach Jose Peseiro may be asked by the Nigeria Football Federation to take a significant pay cut to remain in charge of the team. Becerra's current contract will expire at the end of this month. The 63-year-old Portuguese was appointed Super Eagles head coach in May 2022 and currently earns $70,000 per month. According to ESPN, it is unclear at this stage whether the NFF will keep the Portuguese, but he will be offered new terms with a reduced salary. He guided the Super Eagles to a place at the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations following his side's 3-2 win against Sierra Leone on Sunday. Well, that's all on News Now this evening. Many thanks for watching. I am Simisola Ajikun. Bye for now.